Good morning, everybody. Welcome to September 12th. Today is a quick COVID update. I'm Dr. Vuong, the best effing dad. I just want to talk some basic science for y'all real quick about how the vaccines work again. Yesterday's numbers here in the United States, 76,000 cases, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a Saturday reporting number. But remember, about 3 weeks ago, on weekends, I mean, they were reporting about 45,000, 50,000 on Saturdays and Sundays. And now, 76,000 yesterday for Saturday is twice the number. I mean, I'm quite surprised. That's a high number. And it's on fire in Tennessee, West Virginia. It's moving its way up, Midwest. Watch out for Idaho, Washington, Oregon's catching on fire. Wyoming looks horrible. I mean, honestly, like all of the United States, except for maybe Southern California, looks really bad. And then Nebraska doesn't even report numbers, so who knows what's happening in Nebraska. But it's like Game of Thrones, man. Winter's coming. It's going to be bad. We got to buckle down. So get vaccinated now before versus later, because these mandates are going to kick in, man. There's no fighting it. A good example is the Pentagon. They announced a month ago that, military personnel were going to have to be vaccinated. And they've gone from 70% up to about 85% vaccinated, and no lawsuits. See, so that's just a good sign of things to come. Now, let me tell you about the vaccinations real quick, since that's what we're talking about. Some basic science. So your body. Let's say you have your DNA. That's what your blueprint is, right? So. Imagine you're building a house. DNA is like the blueprint. Well, just because you have a blueprint doesn't mean you have a house. So in order for that to work, someone has to read the DNA and then translate it into what people don't understand, that's usable format. So that's a messenger RNA. So that's translating it to messenger RNA. So you can think of that as like the workers, the foreman who has to read it, translate the blueprint. That's the messenger RNA. And then that messenger RNA has to be turned into a usable protein, whether it's, anything that makes your body work, right? Because our bodies are basically chemical processes. So you take that messenger RNA and then you turn that into proteins. That's called a transcription. That means you're copying it. Okay, so that would be like, now you have your workers, messenger RNA, and now you have your building blocks. That would to start the bricks, laying the bricks for the foundation, for example. That would be the proteins. So in this case, and how most vaccines work, but in this case, the scientists and the doctors have taken a piece of messenger RNA that codes for the spike protein of SARS COV-2. Put it in a little fat droplet and has stabilized it, injected into your body, and these droplets make their way into your cells, right? They're transported in. And then your own cell system uses that to that piece of messenger RNA to transcribe, to write and build a little piece of spike protein, and then that gets shown off on the surface of the cell. And that's how you stimulate the immune system. So, I know that might get lost a little bit. I should probably have a whiteboard session on this again. But let me ask this question. Why do they give the shot in your arm? Does anyone know? Well, this deltoid muscle, this whole area of your body, what happens is it all drains into your armpit. So for women know this more than men, but when the doctors are checking you for breast cancer, for example, all this area here, also, have you noticed whenever you're doing a monthly breast exam, they tell you to check your armpits, things like that, for bumps also in your armpits, not just your breast tissue. And your doctors do that too when you're having your physical exam. Now, why do we do that? It's because that's where the drainage lymph nodes are. We have lymph nodes all over our bodies, like, you have them along your neck. That's how sometimes you get swollen lymph nodes in your neck. Over here above your clavicle, you have some lymph nodes, and you also have them in the middle too. So you can actually have metastases. You can have disease in the middle. It's not always the armpit, but the vast majority, let's say 80% of the drainage of this area is into your armpit. So it's these lymph nodes that when you inject the vaccine into your deltoid muscle, we want the vaccine to make its way into your lymph nodes, into your armpit, because it's the lymph nodes that that have the cells that will present the spike protein that your body recognizes as foreign and creates an immune response. And that's how sometimes after being getting the vaccine, you might have a sore arm. You might have signs of like a mild flu. For me, when I got vaccinated, both doses, I had a little bit of body aches, a little bit of chills, and that's my body having an immune response to this foreign spike protein. Well, that's the first step. And the second step is then your immune system forms memory B cells and T cells. Remember, T cells are, what we learned about with HIV, that then remembers and is able to recognize these foreign spike proteins if it ever recognizes it in the future. So the reason why I'm doing this presentation, and after that, then the vaccine's out of your body in like 48 hours. There's no more copies of this messenger RNA. It gets broken down. The cells that presented the spike protein are all destroyed by your antibodies. That creates the inflammatory response, the fever, the chills, etc. Then you get over it, right? That's how it works. The reason why I'm doing this talk is because there's so many people going around like, why are you taking this experimental jab? And you're going to have Dr. V tell them the truth. Talk about all the spike proteins that are lining all the cells of your body. Like, you're an idiot. That's not how that works. You don't have spike protein presented in every part of your body. Like, you don't have spike protein presented all in your gonads and your, you're going to have some presentation, and it's called antigen presenting cells, in your lymph nodes. And it might make its way to your spleen, which is, that's why some people are concerned if they don't have a spleen. And it could be anywhere. I mean, you've got nodes all over the place. But also, that's why after the first initial early reports, some people were complaining of swollen lymph nodes in their armpits. That's where it went, and that's why it worked. And your body, for whatever reason, had a large reaction to it, and you had a swollen lymph node. Just like, when people go, I have my glands are all swollen. They're actually not glands that are swollen. They're actually lymph nodes in your neck that are swollen, whether it's from allergies or cold or sinus infection or bad tooth. Have you ever had a bad tooth and then your neck swells up? And it's the same thing with the bumps. That's why you have big bumps. It's actually lymph nodes, not your glands, even though people say it's my swollen glands. Anyway, I wanted to just address that. These spike proteins are not all over your body. They're not running amok. They're not. And also the RNA stays outside of your nucleus. So the messenger RNA in the virus does not combine with your DNA. It can't change your genetics. It can't change your DNA. So anybody who posts that, you just know they're misinformed. Which really, it's so funny. It's like they are so convinced that they are right, but they're misinformed. I mean, their basic science is wrong. How can you be so sure that this vaccine is experimental and wrong, and yet you get your basic sciences? You don't understand the basic sciences. It's a weird state that we're living in right now. So regardless of how you feel, I'm just here to tell you mandates are here to stay. They're not going to be tested in court. They're not going to be overturned. We have vaccine mandates for kids. We have chickenpox, MMR, polio, and people go. So the comeback is like, well, it took 10 years to develop polio vaccine. I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to, get this jab that's been rushed. The polio vaccine was developed when we didn't have computers, or it was vacuum tube computers. We don't have complex supercomputers now that can color code everything. I mean, people had to do it by hand. They had to I don't know what you think, yeah, there was a time when we used to take, a year to travel from, New York City to Houston too. But now we have an airplane you can just jump on and get there in 2 hours. So I don't, what your point is. You know, like, so what? It took the 10 years to make the polio vaccine. Yeah, that's what technology is here for. Anyway, like, how are you even watching this video? You know, probably on a cell phone. We didn't have cell phones back when I was growing up, but it's suddenly, like, I'm not like, oh, I'm not going to use my cell phone. Life was so much easier when I had to walk across the street and talk to my neighbor. I don't understand. Anyway, all right. Just some basic science for you today. Happy Sunday. Stay safe, everybody. Be awesome, and enjoy your Sunday. Bye.